8 expats living in Shanghai produced short documentaries on Chinese people or culture for the 2021 Looking China Youth Film Project Shanghai. The project was initiated by the Academy for International Communications of Chinese Culture at Beijing Normal University in 2010. One of the directors, Kristina Grigoryan from Turkmenistan, has lived in Shanghai for 2 years and is now a master's student at Shanghai Vancouver Film School. Grigoryan's The Song of New China is a 9-minute short documentary about the national anthem, March of the Volunteers. She spent 3 weeks researching, filming, and editing it. Now, earlier I spoke to Kristina and learned more about what inspired her to make a documentary on this topic and the major hurdles she faced while digging up something new on modern Chinese history. Oh, Kristina, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you for inviting.
I know that your documentary is actually about Chinese national anthem. So why that idea came up to your mind when you started the project?
It was one of the topics that was suggested by our teachers, and mostly they were about Chinese families. This topic actually was quite different from other topics, so it was pretty interesting to know how can we do it.
As a foreign student, have you faced any challenges when telling a Chinese story?
The best problem for me was the history, because there were a lot of materials that I need to make a research for such a short period of time, and it was kind of complicated for me because I knew something about 1930s. There was a crisis in the whole world. I knew about some Japanese invasion to China, but I didn't know about Chinese national anthem. There were a lot of facts that were somehow communicated with Chinese national anthem. And we had to read a lot of books, we had to go to the galleries, we had to do a lot of work on research.
Actually, in the documentary, you use a lot of stop motion specifically. So tell us more about that, why you choose a specific technique to tell the story.
When we chose this topic, we knew that there are actually not so many interviews that we can film, and there are not so much places we can go to film. So our supervisor actually told us that we can use some creative ways to tell Chinese story. In our film, we used at about 1,500 pictures, and that's why we had an idea to try stop motion animation. And actually the main idea was that we are writing the history and we're telling the story while we are writing the history. So that's why the whole documentary is actually, there are my hands in the picture, and I'm writing the history and I'm putting pictures and I'm telling the story, how it was.
I know now you've lived in Shanghai for 2 years.
Yes, exactly.
So say comparing to when you first came to Shanghai to now, like you've already made a documentary, have you felt that you've known more about Shanghai and there were special feelings about the city?
Yes, exactly, because before, especially before my documentary, actually when I learned about Chinese history, we were learning more about Beijing, about Luoyang, about some ancient cities. So for us, Shanghai was kind of new city, and we thought that it doesn't have a very long history, and maybe there are not so many facts about the city that I need to learn, that I need to know. But actually, after we started preparing this documentary, we realized that actually there are a lot of facts that are very interesting, and they are a part of the way we see Shanghai today.
If you had another chance, will you invite more foreign students to do the project with you and then to study China more?
Yeah, sure, of course. Like if someone asks me, do I want to participate in this activity again, of course I will, because it is a great learning process, not just about China, but also how to do a documentary. So we were doing it, we were learning some technical skills, and we were learning Chinese history as well.
Where can we see the documentary?
Soon it will be published in the internet, so I can say that everyone can join it later.
Well, thank you, Kristina, for sharing your insights. And of course, we'd love to see your documentary very soon and hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.